And welcome back to the 12th man here, episode 8. Got Sam Mc Corkell here on board. Liverpool against Spurs, obviously going to be a big game this week. Top of the table clash. Sam, big Liverpool fans, on the preview it with me. We're also going to be looking at Mikel Arteta's problems at Arsenal, as well as going back through the Champions League and Europa League draw for the English teams and Rangers as well as looking ahead to the rest of the Premier League games. So, Sam, great to have you on.
Well, good to join you.
Good night. So first thing I want to ask you, let's start to look at Liverpool first here. As see this season, Liverpool have been very good at home, not so good away from home. What do you think that inconsistency sort of crept into their game?
I don't know. I was only chatting to our Liverpool fan about this the other day, and we were discussing it too. Big games, you're going Brighton and Fulham, you're expecting to take 6 points, maybe push on, and then you've a bit of less pressure going into the bigger games. I don't know if it's too many games or players are taking their eye off the ball, thinking, "Here, look, we'll just turn up and maybe Salah will get a goal, and that will get us out of trouble." But to be fair, in the Brighton game and the Fulham game, the last 2 away games, they probably could have lost the game, both of them.
Do you think? I think Roy, or was it Roy? Graham Souness was chatting about it. Not Roy Keane. Graham Souness was chatting about it after the game on Sunday. He was saying 2 reasons maybe he thinks it's happening. Is one was maybe because their champions teams are putting it up to them a lot more, and it's their sort of cup final every season. So when Fulham come they play Liverpool, it's like the game they really want to try and put a show on. Brighton could say the same. Or the other one is sometimes when you are champions, you do take your foot off the gas, and you do think sort of a bit of arrogance about you, and you think we only have to turn up here and we're going to beat the Fulham or we're going to beat Brighton. So do you think that's a maybe a mixture of both?
Mixture of both. I would say a mixture of both. They've put a serious 2 years in, non-stop for 2 years, took whatever 195 points over 2 seasons. There was always going to be a downturn, and then when you obviously take in the injuries on top of it, and you're sort of hasn't been a settled team. You know what I mean? It's sort of he's trying to work his best, trying to keep it as strong as he can, but trying not to get any more injuries. So I was impressed with Fulham the other day. They're not the team that they were the first 3 or 4 games of the season. Scott Parker, to be fair, I don't know how he's done it, but he's changed the whole team, and they're not bad.
I said on my previous podcast there, I said, look, I still expect Liverpool to win, but the Fulham have played Arsenal on the first day of the season. It's not the Fulham that Liverpool are going to play. I think sometimes when teams do come up, they can be a bit naive at the start of the season, and they might go with tactics be strange, and the players don't realise how big the difference of level it is. Once they get sort of 6, 7, 8 games in, they do start to get a bit more tactically. They get a lot stronger as the season goes on. So you're always going to expect a harder game going there, and they have come on there out of form. They did beat Leicester away, and they did give Man City a game a couple of weeks ago. We were only beat 2-0 away from home. So it was always going to be a lot more of a game.
And saying that, you should be Liverpool. They'll look back. They could look back and then that, especially the Brighton and the Fulham game come the end of the season. They could look back and say, you know what, that might cost us.
Okay, it's not an excuse. Liverpool still expect they won. The Fulham had won their last 9 games. You would still expect Liverpool to go and win, but it was a very, very slow start. I think in the first 15 or 20 minutes, Alisson made 3 saves. So it was just it came out so slow. It was strange the way. It was like, I think Jamie Carragher said Liverpool need to wake up here seriously, because this is as bad as the 15 minutes as I can remember. It goes even against Aston Villa, it wasn't as bad. I think Fulham got on behind a few times early on.
Yeah. I said that in the first. I was watching the game myself. First 5 minutes, you could just see the way this was going. When Liverpool start like that, they don't usually get out of it. But they just grind their way into the game.
You think Fabinho's a big loss in the middle of the field? You think he's not having him there protecting the defence? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's all right. People sort of forget that Fabinho is probably one of the best defensive midfielders in world football. And now Liverpool, we've lost Van Dijk, we've lost Gomez, but now we've lost our best defensive midfielder. About he's had to go on the defence, and Henderson and Wijnaldum, they're Henderson is box to box. You just have to sort of let him roam on the right side, but he doesn't do what Fabinho does. He doesn't. Either does Wijnaldum. But and that's what it is. You could talk about injuries all day. But Liverpool, I've said this before. Liverpool have been blessed the last 3 years. They haven't had an injury. I know they've got a lot now, but they've had a good run.
Now every team you do get a season sometimes where every player seems to drop. I mean, I think Jota is out for 2 months as well. Just seems to be really
I think,
bad freak injuries as well. So
and that just goes on the fact that Jota doesn't have to play. He doesn't have to play on Wednesday night. Like, and
do you know the thing too that's killing them? I think as well, especially in that Fulham game, they had nobody on the bench to change the game as well. There was nobody on that bench to change it. They basically had their 11 players out there, and whoever they brought on was going to be weakening the team. I thought Minamino's a decent player, but for me, he's not at Liverpool's level. So when he comes on, you're picking off probably. You know what I mean? So, and then Origi comes on. I mean, I can't remember the last time I seen Origi play in the Premier League. So that shows you how desperate they were to try and change it. But it's just, for me, they're really struggling now. If they were to lose one more player, they're in no real danger of figuring out a really big team.
Oh, I agree. I think if they lose one more big player like that usually plays, they could be in baller like on top. But I honestly don't know what come January. I'm not too sure what's going to happen. Or Klopp doesn't like to ever go for someone that he doesn't want. Like,
I think I seen like last month that he was going to buy in January, but I seen last night a fella called Miguel Delaney on Twitter. He's quite respected journalist. He was saying that it's desperation time. They've got a plan now in place, and they're going to be trying to see if they can get something done in January because they've lost that many players. Plus, they don't want to rush players back in case they lose them for longer length of time. So I think they are going to try and get something done, whether it's a loan deal or whether they've been looking at a summer target and they're going to accelerate it. Now, the big rumours are looking at Ben White from Brighton. He was on loan at Leeds last year. If he was to come in, he's obviously a young player, but he's obviously somebody that's well thought of because I've seen Spurs have been looking at him as well, and probably a few other top teams. But the big thing is, will Brighton want to sell him in the middle of a season? Plus, Brighton are floundering down their relegation. So if they lose him, could they sign in their pass back to the Championship? So it's one of them ones where if Liverpool, everyone are desperate.
I've not. Ben White's been mentioned. He was mentioned last summer as well and stuff, and he did all right. He did well with Leeds in the Championship stuff. Like, but you have to see. You want to give him a full year. Like you say, Brighton let Shane Duffy go to Celtic to bring him in. So not unless they're going to bring Shane Duffy back, they're not going to sell any centre halves in January. Like, but I don't see it. Not unless you offer over the odds, which I don't think he's worth. Like, he needs to.
Well, they're talking. I reckon it will take maybe 50 million to get him in, and you're paying big money for a young. And the other one, I think they've been looking at, and it's got quite a bit of a romance about it. It's Connor Cody, obviously a Liverpool player. He's obviously a Liverpool fan, Liverpool born. He's done really well at Wolves. For me, he should be an England team. I think he made that mistake against Liverpool, but apart from that, he's been very, very consistent over the last few years. I don't know if you've seen a lot of him, but the way he switches the ball, he's brilliant with his feet as well. He's the type of Liverpool player Liverpool would love to have, I think. So if they could get him on, but again, how much are you going to be talking for him? He's probably one of the best centre backs in the league outside of the big teams.
I like Connor Cody definitely. I know he had a poor game against Liverpool the other day, like, but he very rarely has a bad day, like very, very rarely. Like. But again, I would rather go Connor Cody over Ben White because Connor Cody's proven he's a Premier League player. Like, you know, he's done it. He's played in Europe. He's an international. Like, but I think again that he's an English player. You're going to probably talk 50 plus 60. You know, it'd be crazy money.
I think the two of them to your probably more likely if they were going to happen would be the summer. I can't see Wolves or Brighton wanting to let them go, and it would take, as you say, massive money. Maybe Wolves because they're not in Europe, and they don't want them to only have the greatest season. They might just finish around mid-table, so they might have less riding on it. Whereas Brighton possibly if they lose something, they could be in the Championship. So be interesting. I haven't seen too many links with attacking players, but if you look at Liverpool's options up front, it's going to be hard to get somebody in that's going to be off the level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they brought Jota, and nobody expected it, like, and then nobody actually expected Jota to even challenge them the front three, like, and he's came and he's probably broke himself into the front three. Obviously, he's injured now, but I don't see anything happening in the forward line. The only one I was wondering if would they take a chance of maybe bringing Harvey Elliott back from Blackburn because he started so well, but he's doing so well. You might as well just let him play the season out. But I think he's
got that personality about him too, isn't he? He's got that personality where he wouldn't be fazed by playing in the Premier League. I don't think he's got that arrogance.
He does. He looks like he's going to be top level. Like, I've been watching him with Blackburn. I've been keeping an eye on it, like, and some of the stuff he does for a 17-year-old, like, and 18-year-old is ridiculous. Like, you know.
Hey, Klopp probably doesn't regret much at Liverpool, but do you think the biggest regret he'll have is probably not signing a centre back in the summer because he's were pretty short at the back. I think you can look at all areas in the team and go, do you know what, that's been freak injuries and you probably wouldn't have expected it, but you're always one injury at the back away from a potential crisis, and now you've had two. It's looking like
Uh,
a centre
it,
half
well,
was a mistake.
it happened. It happened last year where Gomez was injured, Lovren was injured, and Matip was injured, and Van Dijk was just playing with. It was just someone. One of them three were always injured, or they were always injured. So Van Dijk was just playing with one of them the whole time. He just kept changing around, and then they went to the Club World Cup, and Van Dijk got sick, and they had to play. Henderson played at the back with someone like, but it was just one of them ones. I think he wanted Lovren to stay, but Lovren wanted to play games at the age he was. He was 31, coming into 32. He wanted to play games, which is fair enough. But it's mad the way it works out because Alana left because he wanted to play games. Nathaniel Klein left because he wanted to play games. Lovren, and see the three of them, but everybody played every game this season.
No.
Majority because of the way it works. But hey, he took a chance. He rolled the dice, like he took a chance, like, and he had 48 Fabinho. Like nobody plans for your two main centre back to get two cruciate injuries or whatever in the space of a week, like, and just.
And you see now as well what's happening with him. He's starting to panic at times. He's bringing off Alexander-Arnold after 70 minutes because he's thinking, if I lose him, I'm in trouble. So it's almost like he's making pre-made subs regardless of the scoreline. It's almost like before the game he knows he can't risk his player for so long because of previous injuries. Plus, I don't want them getting injured and being missing. So it's almost creating doubt in his mind, and he's starting to. He's almost like, I think he needs to bring in somebody in January because he's literally thinking he's down to the bare bones, and he doesn't. He's sort of losing games times.
There's no doubt that they have to bring one or at least one, maybe two defenders in January. I don't like it has to happen, like, because like Matip doesn't stay fit. Like he had to come off the other day. They didn't even play him in midweek because of it. He had to come off at half time the other day with a sore back. Like he has to play. He ended up having to
play Henderson centre half. You know, and that's not something you want to do. You would have missing Fabinho and Henderson at the back. Plus, I can't remember too many times Henderson playing centre back over the years. So very, very dangerous situation if you'd be losing another player. So obviously coming into this game, these are in mixed form. The home form has been very, very good. The home form stretches back, I think, 66 games now unbeaten. So it shows the level they're playing at home, plus the task for anyone going there, no matter what kind of form your opposition's on. They know they're going there playing a team that's unbeaten in 66 Premier League home games. So you're probably not too worried about Spurs coming in.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Spurs. It doesn't matter. They just seem at Anfield. They can't. I won't say can't be beat. It can happen. They've lost Champions League games and stuff, but in the league, there just seems to be a wee bit extra. Like it helped the other day against Wolves with 2,000 fans back, and the noise when they were doing "You'll Never Walk Alone" at the start. It makes a difference. Like, but
well, I don't know if you've seen
the big games.
Liverpool are the only team.
Anyway.
Liverpool are one of only 4 teams now that's going to have 2,000 fans on over Christmas. Just we've seen history. London's 2,000 fans have all been took away, so that's going to be an advantage. But it's one of them things, I think, from an opposition sort of point of view, that they go there with that mentality block of, are we really going to get anything here because Liverpool's record's that good? So they go there probably thinking they're beat already. Do you think that's the way it's like? Wolves, pretty decent team, got smashed 4-0. Leicester sitting 1 point behind Liverpool and Spurs now, went there and got smashed 3-0. You look at Man City last year, getting smashed there 3-0. They've had some really, really good results there. And I know we just won in games. They really, really took apart the opposition. So there's obviously something.
And there definitely is. There's someone, whatever it is, the players love it. The run extends. And I think it was the Leicester game that everybody was panicking, or everybody was back in Leicester, like, and Liverpool were makeshift as well. They were missing, like, I think Henderson was out as well that day, and they just turned up and put on a performance. Like Leicester sort of lay down then after a while, like, and just let it happen.
I think Matip's as well to come back, isn't he?
He has to. I think that's why they took him off the order. Like, he has to play. Like, you know, it's. But I don't think. If any time this is like over the last few years, Liverpool have had a decent record against Spurs. You know, home and away. Like.
Yep, very good record.
But I don't think that will. I think this year, or now this week now, I don't think that will fit the record of Spurs. Will even think about the record. Like, I think they'll be thinking they have a chance. Like, because usually Harry Kane goes up against Van Dijk and he doesn't he doesn't get a sniff out of it like Van Dijk, but he'll fancy Fabinho and Matip either or like.
It's only one game. Sorry, 2 games. Sort of. I know Kane's missed a couple against Liverpool injury, but that's the only game I've seen Kane playing where he just never seemed to get involved in the game at all. Van Dijk really just seemed to have his number. Kane absolutely roasted him for a goal against Southampton, but since he's came to Liverpool, Spurs have really struggled to get Kane involved in the game. Now, I don't know what way it'll work this time if Van Dijk was playing because Kane is dropping a lot deeper. So you would imagine he will be picking him up, but obviously Van Dijk not playing as a huge advantage for Spurs in a game like this. But I just want to get your thoughts on sort of the defensive style of play and the way Spurs are setting up now. For me, right, they're in these big games. They've actually had a really good big game record this year. They beat United away, they beat City at home, they drew away with Chelsea, and they beat Arsenal at home. So they took 10 points out of them 12 available. And Liverpool's obviously the last in the first cycle of games. So they come into really good form against the big teams now. What I have noticed, you pick with the Man United game because they're only 10 men, but in them 3 games against Man City, Chelsea, and Arsenal, Spurs have been averaging around 30% possession in the 3 games. So I want to get your thoughts on the Spurs shape defensively, but also only think, this is from me, my point of view, I don't think Spurs can afford to give Liverpool the same kind of possession around the box as they have the other teams because they've got players that'll dribble and pick players on, whereas the likes of Man City and Arsenal, they just seem to sort of pop it about and then maybe cross it into the box, whereas I can see Salah and Mane trying to come at Spurs players and them having to do a lot more defending. Even seen it on Sunday there with Zaha and Eze. They give Spurs the defence problems. When the Spurs give them loads of the ball, Zaha and Eze just tuck players on. And nobody wants, no matter how good you are at the back, Spurs defenders do not want to see players running at them because they're not the quickest at the back either. Obviously, they'd brought in Reguilon, but Aurier, I wouldn't say is blessed with pace. And then obviously the 2 centre backs, Alderweireld and Dyer, ain't as well. So, do you think Spurs' defensive style is going to have to be altered in this game?
You're definitely like I know what you mean. If you sit back and Salah and Mane are direct, everybody knows that they just want to get on the ball and they just want to run you into the box and make you commit. But you're definitely Mourinho will roll the dice, but
Go.
Jose Mourinho, he doesn't change. Like he'll keep the same system. I don't think if they would have worked on that all summer, whatever time they had, this is the way we're going to play because they haven't changed in any game. Like so, I don't see. And I think if he starts making tweaks, he'll confuse it. It might even help Liverpool even more because them players just know what they have to do now. Like the 3 midfielders, they work. It's all about getting Kane in them pockets and trying to get Son away. Like it's not. Everybody knows what they're trying to do and it's working. Like and I think the way Liverpool play, like the fullbacks go, there could be plenty of space for somebody go, for somebody working. Like
for me, Spurs are going to have to get a goal in the first half or possibly even 2 because in the games I've watched, they've been very, very good in the first half. But second half, I don't know what it is, where it's a mentality thing, but they do seem to sit a lot deeper. And it's grand when you're 1-2-0 because you don't have to rely on the counter attack as much. But against Chelsea in the second half, when it was 0-0, I don't think Spurs created anything apart from the chance in the 93rd minute where Zuma gave the ball away. And then against Man City and Arsenal, the chances that dry up in the second half, but they were in front. They did have a bit of a lead, so it was fine. But you seen against Palace there, up 1-0, didn't really kill the game off. Palace come on to them, and then there's always a chance, no matter how good you are at the back. It was actually our set piece, which we've improved from this year's set pieces. I think Liverpool's very good from set pieces from the stats, if you look at the stats. So the set pieces is obviously a weakness, but again, I think out of the Spurs have conceded 10 goals, I think 3 have been penalties and 5 have been set pieces. So they've only actually conceded 2 goals from open play. So obviously, again, if you're only 1-0 up in a game, there's always a chance of a set piece or a lucky goal or a deflection. So for me, you have to try and get a two goal lead. And obviously, Mourinho's been renowned for 2-0 ones, getting up 2-0, and then that's it. Just shut up shop and game over. So that'll be the target. It's going to be very difficult. But, if it was
I'll be very surprised if Mourinho changes anything. Like, I don't see it. Like, he'll just try and fight Liverpool on at the start and just that counter attack every time because Liverpool will go like.
That'll be the obvious target. Try and exploit the space Alexander-Arnold leaves. It'll be interesting to see if Liverpool alter that tactic, but I don't see it. I think Liverpool's game relies on their fullbacks, so I can't see them it's not the respect Spurs. I can't see them changing their game to try and stop Spurs. as we said, this isn't prime Barcelona or prime Madrid. This is a Liverpool still be expected they won, so I can still see them trying to go about it their way. Obviously the first goal is going to be key. I think Spurs' game relies on getting that first goal and then trying to manipulate it.
Yes, shutting up shop. That is the Spurs concede. If Liverpool concede early, like, which could happen because they're obviously, like I said, they're sort of thrown together at the minute. Like, you don't know who's going to play. Matt will not even know until before kickoff if Matt will probably play or not. Like,
Yeah.
you have a ball. Like, I don't think Henderson will play centre half no matter what. Like, I think he'll bring Matt Phillips or someone in, like, because Henderson's going to have to cover Trent when Trent goes, like, on that right hand side. That's the way it'll be. Like, Jones on one side and Ronaldo in the middle.
Have you been surprised by Kane and Son this year?
Kane, you know what? I don't know if Kane knows himself that he's lost that. No, he never had lots of pace, but he's had a good few, serious injuries over the last few years. Like, so I don't know if he just knows himself that he's, he's not an out number 9 anymore because he doesn't have he can't break them lines the way he's played. But I don't know if it was Mourinho changed him or they just came together, but it works a treat because he see them passes he finds, and he's very strong. Like when he finds the ball in the middle of the park, like, you're not going to get it off him because he can use his body. Like, and it just works a treat. Like, it's better Son running past him than Son laying it off to Kane. Like, it just works. It's very good. Like,
I think Carragher done a piece on Monday Night Football a few weeks ago. He was saying that this goes back to sort of 2017. He actually dropped deep. And a lot of these passes were going through the players like Son and other players, and they weren't taking their chances. So again, it's if you don't watch Spurs, you don't see it happening. So I obviously seen it now. It's obviously got a lot better this year in terms of it is happening more often. But there was times in the game where he did drop deep, and Spurs were up 1-0, for example, or 2-0. They'd be playing deeper and obviously trying to find space and trying to play people on. But the likes of Son was missing one-on-ones, and Lucas Moura's were missing chances. So again, you don't get credit with the stats. This year it has become a lot more consistent where he actually starts the game from deep, so probably something Mourinho has worked on. But apparently Kane and Son's relationship over the last sort of years took another level in terms of they train together, they do loads of things together, and they apparently after matches they text each other and stuff, so they've quite a close bond. So it's almost like telepathic. I think you do see even if Spurs have a quick free kick, Kane literally runs it, tries to do it quick, and Son's on behind. So it's obviously something.
They're on a different level compared to the rest of the Spurs team. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the rest of the Spurs team are there just sort of filling in, doing their jobs, and it's just all about can Kane or Son produce the magic really on the stage. Like, but there's no different. Kane's always been quality. Nobody's ever doubted that he's been quality. Like, you know what I mean? But I think it suits him better dropping deep, and I think it would probably suit England in the Euros, him dropping a bit deeper as well. Like,
no, definitely with the players in England, hopefully like Rashford, Sterling, Sancho. But the one player definitely has surprised me this year has been Son. I always found him somebody that was on his day was very good, but inconsistency, as I said, he missed easy chances, and sometimes he had 3 or 4 chances to score. I know it's still 12 games in, but this season so far he does seem to be a lot more ruthless. You seen that goal against Arsenal? That's something I've never seen Son do. Sort of pick the ball up in his own half and just run. No, I know he scored a great goal against Burnley last year, but I mean in a big game, just do it to an opposition like that and just put one in the top corner. No, it's something that it really did surprise me in terms of I don't think he had that arrogance about him. He always seemed very nice and stuff, and you could try and bully him. And Liverpool fans, probably the fans that always would have said this to me is I would love Son, and this is going back 2 or 3 years. I'd be like, he's not as good as Salah or Mane, nowhere near it. And they're like, no, we would have Son and all and whatever. I'm like, trust me, you don't watch him every week. So, but this year, obviously, he sort of got to a level where he's sort of producing great numbers. For me, he has improved a lot. Whether that continues or not, we'll see. But would you put him under that bracket now with Salah or Mane? Because I've seen a lot of pundits put them up there as world class. But for me, I don't think he is yet. I don't think he's done it long enough.
You have to. It's like you say, it's all right. Like, Son was always a good player. Always worked hard. He's great. He's a great player to watch. Like, but like you say, this year, but I think that's down to Mourinho. Honestly, like Mourinho is ruthless, and he can just get into the mindset of players. And if the players buy into Mourinho, like things seem to happen. Like, but for me, like, it all comes down to he has to do it for the season, then he has to go again next season. Like, like you look at Mane and Salah, like 3 or 4 years, back-to-back Champions Leagues. They won one of them. Back-to-back title races, won one of them. Like, you know, for me, Salah is on a different bracket than Mane. Like, Salah's numbers are incredible. Like,
And do you know what? Salah does get a lot of criticism by Liverpool fans at things for missing chances, but you look at his numbers. I seen him last night: 112 games for Liverpool in the Premier League, 89 goals and 22 assists, which is 83 goals and 29 assists. Absolutely incredible.
And he broke Gerrard's European record the other day. Like, he just his numbers are crazy.
And
like,
you know what?
Even if he's having an off day, you still fancy him.
When I say that,
fancy him, they score.
Sign of a world-class player doesn't have to be playing that well, and he can just produce a moment. Whereas with Son, I always think he has to be playing well. They do something like he rarely drifts out of a game and then comes on it. You know, that's the level they try and get to. But you know what? Things are just happening too around them too at the moment. See, even like the last couple of games there, it's not even they've been getting credited with assists for each other, but it literally Son just passed the ball to Kane there. Kane shot from 30 yards and the keeper made a mistake. So there's just things that seem to be happening. And that's
you have to take them when they come with.
My dad, you obviously know my dad well. He seems to think that there's a lot of luck around Spurs at the moment, especially our teams getting injuries, and he thinks that Mourinho, all right, you can say he's been a great manager over the years, but he thinks he can carry luck as well. And when things like this start happening for him, he tends to have a good season, whether it's winning a trophy or winning the league. He just seems to think that Spurs' luck's on this year with Mourinho, and something's bound to happen.
Well, I don't know about that, like, but they've definitely, it's a good season for them, because you look at what Liverpool have done the last 2 years, and like, Liverpool aren't the team that are peaked out. They're missing 5 or 6 first team players, like, you know what I mean? But you can only play what's against you or what's in the league, like, so it's a good opportunity. What I'm happy about with Aussie in terms of Liverpool is Liverpool are still sitting joint top of the league with really half a team out there putting out, like, so I'm hoping they can start bringing. I know I don't really worry too much about Thiago because we've never had Thiago, like, if you know what I mean. But
if you look at Spurs and Liverpool, right, 12 games in, and this will be their last game against the top 6 teams for both teams. So they've played the other teams already for one time each. Only lost 1 game, 7 wins, 4 draws. So you could probably look at it and go, probably not winning enough, but they are proving very hard to beat, whether they're having an off day or not. Because I've seen Spurs in some games they haven't played particularly well, but they do seem to be hard to beat. They've only lost that 1 game in the first day of the season when they were very, very poor against Everton. So they've went 11 games without losing a game in the league. And Liverpool have obviously only lost that game to Villa, where they were very, very poor. Villa as well were just unbelievable that day. Everything they haven't done. So you can, they're sort of setting, it's not an unbelievable standard, but it still is going to be a standard that's going to be, you know, we're not going to lose that many games. So you look at it, you're third away in now. If you look at that, based on the record, Spurs and Liverpool's only going to lose 3 games, roughly, between now and the end of the season, on average. So it'll be interesting to see if they can turn a few of them draws into wins, and this could develop into our possible title race. I'm still a bit sketchy at the moment, but
I was always the same with Liverpool. I'm always the same with Liverpool too. Like, over the years too, you're expecting them. They're going to blow up here. They're going to blow up here, but it's different now over the last few years. Like, you sort of like, I'm looking at it going, we're still top of the league here. We've half a team. Like, so you're saying, start adding these players back in over the next few weeks. As long as we can stay in, I'm not saying we need to be top of the league come the 1st of January. Yeah. I don't mind that. But as long as we're in the mix, I fancy Liverpool to get players back and to be able to go on a run for a period of time.
I think for the rest of the teams that are sort of looking to win the league this year, like Spurs, Chelsea, even United's not out of it, City's not out of it yet. So they've been hoping they get a lead over Liverpool going into January. If you look at Liverpool's fixtures over Christmas, that's going to be very difficult for them to do. Now, that doesn't find something to draw to Fulham. I think they've got West Brom at home in there. They've got who's playing now at the weekend again?
Palace, Newcastle.
The games you expect them to win. So I think and you look at Spurs fixtures, they're a lot more difficult. Chelsea's obviously dropped points there at the weekend as well, so they've got a bit of catching up to do. So it looks like Liverpool, at worst, they'll be sitting around level going into the new year, and they will eventually get players back. And you know what? It sort of reminds me of like Ferguson years, where sometimes United had an extraordinary, maybe not Liverpool level, but still had a really, really good season. And then maybe followed it up way below what they're used to, but they were still better than the rest of the teams. They won it, and that might be the case this year, that Liverpool might drop 10 points, but still better than the other teams, and it might not matter in the end. You know what I mean?
If I was to go on what Liverpool have now, I still fancy Liverpool to win the league, like, and they should be. But I think if you were to lose Fabinho, or if you were to lose maybe Salah or Mane for maybe 2 or 3 months now, you think you're in serious bother, like.
I think they are fine. Definitely so much Spurs, not Chelsea. I think Chelsea have a lot more players. I don't really rely on one player. Spurs or lose Kane, you'd say game over. You'd struggle to see how they would play without him. If Højbjerg got injured or Son got injured, any of them three got injured. I'd even throw Dyer in there too because he's been a rock at the back. But if any of them players get injured, even one of them, if it was Kane or Højbjerg, to me, the two most important players, say, geez, how are they going to win games consistently without them boys?
100%. He should be in big baller, like, definitely, like, because it's the way he's played, like.
You're going to have to try and keep them fit for 38 games, which is, even if you're playing one game a week, it's difficult for any side to do. You know, Leicester did it, and I think every week Vardy, Mahrez, Kante was fit, so it has been done before, where you just get a free gear and you keep all your best players fit as well. But it really will be interesting. Spurs are going to be going on our fronts too. There's no way Mourinho's going to put all his eggs in the league basket unless they got to the end of the sort of March time when they were up there. But he's got a League Cup quarter-final come up against Stoke, and it's one of Mourinho's favourite trophies, I think. And he
wants to win anything. Like, he just won anything. So
I think his first trophy at Chelsea was a League Cup. His first trophy at Chelsea, the second time was a League Cup, and his first trophy at United was a League Cup. So it's a cup he'll look at. Liverpool's not on it. So I think any of our teams he'll probably think Spurs are favourites because they have a good record against City. And he seems to have one over City with his state of play. Arsenal as well is on there. He's beat Arsenal. United's on there. He's beat United. So he'll definitely think Stoke, great opportunity. And then semi-final and a final, and he's the master then type of game. So a one-off game and a final.
One-off game. He'll fancy it. There's no doubt about that. Like,
he'll be looking at that now over the new. We've obviously got the Stoke game, and then there'll be a game in January, and then they'll obviously get the final. So he'll be looking at that as a good opportunity. He'll look at the Europa League as well. We're going to be chatting about that, and then possibly an FA Cup. So, and I think as well that Mourinho, you know what he's like. He's on it. They want it. But he'll definitely look at these other competitions as great opportunity to win as well. I think the whole league finds came about because of Liverpool's injuries. Man City's obviously regressed. Nobody expected Spurs to be up there challenging this year. So I think if he offers Spurs fans now top four and a League Cup or an FA Cup, they'd snap your hand off. Do you know what I mean?
Even if you're sitting top of the league now?
12 games on, Sam, and we've got to play these tomorrow night. So, no, for me, if somebody said to me, no, you finished top four and won a cup this year, I'd be buzzing. Because that was the target this year. I think if you asked me in March, we're sitting 6 points clear. The FA Cup's forgotten about, and the League Cup's forgotten about. So, it's only a month. Just moving on. Going to look at this prediction before we move on to the other stuff. Sort of touched around a lot of the topics. So, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow night?
I'm gonna go Liverpool 2-0.
You know, somebody else topped that up in the predictions today. Somebody else topped 2-0. I think that'll be key if Liverpool get that first goal. I know it's very hard to predict because of this. I keep saying this every week. It's very hard to predict, but I think a lot hinges on that first goal. Liverpool's going to be up for it, and that's the thing that's on my mind. Liverpool's not going to play poor. Like, they're going to be up for this game, and they know it's a chance they put. They're not going to waste this opportunity. I think they're going to really step it up, like, and they're going to try. They'll see it as a potential title rival, and let's put them in their place. So I think it's going to be a Spurs' biggest mentality test, not just in terms of their ability as well. It's going to be their biggest mental test. Going downfield against a team that's going to be trying to put one over you. You know what? I just have a feeling Spurs might get a result. You know.
Come on, let's hear it.
Sort of been naive here over the last few weeks. I sort of spent, I don't know this game, but I do think with Liverpool's injuries, those give Spurs more of a chance. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, which would be a great result for Spurs. I think that's the mindset Mourinho will go there with. He'll come out and say, "Oh, we want to win every game." Said after the Chelsea game away from home, we're disappointed by a draw. As soon as said after the game, he'd be delighted with the draw. They never really went for anything else. I think Spurs will try and get that early goal. If they didn't get that early goal, I would probably change my prediction and go Liverpool eventually grind them down, because it does seem to be Spurs coming quickly and try and get that goal, and they'll try and counter-attack. But as the game goes on, then counter-attacks do seem to dry up. So it is key to get that early goal. I'm going to say they are going to get that early goal and make it a real test for Liverpool, but I do expect them, if some stage they break them down. We're going to go for a 1-1 draw. You think a 1-1 draw wouldn't be the worst result for you either, or do you think it's a game he's really want to win?
Nah, at the position we're in, and obviously same thing, injuries and stuff. Like any Liverpool fan will take a draw tomorrow.
Like, as they'll think if we lose as well, it's sort of, Jesus, we're 3 points behind, and we don't want to be given. And I think it's not even like Liverpool aren't fear to Spurs. I know it's not. They're not fear to Spurs. They're fear to Mourinho. That's what everyone says to me. It's Mourinho. It's not Spurs. It's we know what Mourinho.
They know what he's gonna do. They know what he's gonna do. Like he's just gonna set it up. Like they know it's gonna be.
No, not even in terms of just the money. Just in terms of the whole season. They're like, if we start giving points to the Mourinho team, we don't want to be chasing the Mourinho team. If this is Spurs and Pochettino, they'd be like, wouldn't matter Spurs, but it's 6-0 money. We'll eventually catch them. You know what I mean? So that's the mindset. But moving on, going to look at, obviously it's come up the last few weeks, but they're obviously a big topic around the Premier League at the moment. Arsenal. A lot of Arsenal fans probably think I'm taking the piss out of them because I bring them up every week, but no, it's just because it is a very serious situation that they're developing. But 4 straight home defeats, Sam. Now you're a lot older than me, so can you ever remember Arsenal losing 4 home games in a row?
No, not Jesus. When you go back to the early Premier League years, there's no George Graham. Like they were always just a solid team. Like, and then obviously Wenger came in and turned them into more of a football team. Like, but I spoke to you at the start of the season, and the way Arsenal finished last season, I thought, you know what? I didn't think they would challenge for a title, but I thought they'd be in the mix for the top 4. Like I thought the way they were set up, they looked a lot more defensively sound. I thought they would get goals, but I actually have no idea what's
going wrong.
What has happened?
You look at the 4 games too. You probably think, geez, he must have played United or Liverpool or Chelsea and Spurs all back to back. They played Villa, Leicester, Wolves, and Burnley. So that was the 4 games they were beat. They only scored 1 goal in them 4 games. So there's massive issues there. Whether it's
they've Southampton now, like, and I found like you just go on the way Southampton's playing, you fancy Southampton they won comfortable. Like
you wouldn't want to play Southampton at the moment the way they're playing. And if you look over the last year the way they're playing, they're a really good side, especially away from home. I think they get a lot more space on the counter attack, and they do tend to beat teams quite comfortably. But sort of looking at it, 4 games, and you're thinking 4 games in a trot. That's 1 and 6. If you look at they won their first 2 games of the season, they've only picked up 7 points from their last 10 Premier League games. So, almost on sort of relegation form. I'm not saying they're going to get relegated. I'd be shocked if they did. But I don't know if you've seen Eddie's comments. He's the sporting director at Arsenal. He's obviously the connection between Arteta and the board. He works with Arteta getting the transfers done and stuff like that. So he's come out and said last night that Arteta's got our full support, 100%, and he's doing a fantastic job. Now, the Arsenal fans have obviously looked at that and thought we're in real trouble if they think he's doing a fantastic job. And this is where I think the problem is at Arsenal as well as the board. He actually said, and I thought this was very naive, he said, what I'm seeing on the training pitch isn't what I'm seeing on the football pitch. But training and football matches are completely different. If anyone that's played, and Eddie has played the game, so I'm really surprised he said something like that. He said that there's not going to be much happening in January, which has also infuriated Arsenal fans. I think the board sometimes just wind Arsenal fans up with some of the stuff they say. He said there's not going to be much happening in January, and this is basically going to be the kind of team they're going to have until the end of the season. And if they do get players in, players will have to leave. But you obviously manage Culmore, Sam. So would you take any of these Arsenal players? Some of these players they didn't want it to Culmore. And that's the bottom line. You wouldn't want some of these Arsenal players anywhere near your team.
Some of I was chatting to an Arsenal fan there yesterday or the day before, and I was asking him about Arteta too, and he reckons that Arteta should be given time. He should be given an hour window or 2 anyway to work. He says he's working with a lot of Wenger's poor signings and Emery's poor signings, which is a fact. But in this day and age of football, you don't get time anymore. But I think if Arsenal want to get anywhere, or they don't want to go down what Man United did and what Liverpool did over the years, is just keep changing your manager and then having to spend so much money, and then the next manager doesn't want to.
I get that completely. But if you look at it right, United and Liverpool went through them phases. They were never sitting 15th in the league. I think if Klopp was sitting 15th in his first full season, Liverpool fans would be saying, get him out. I think the FA Cup one's the only reason he's still there, to be honest. I think if they hadn't won that FA Cup, he'd have been gone by now. And for me, as I said on the second last show, I like to see someone like Arteta get time because he has a young manager. Obviously, someone I'm looking to get into the coaching game. So it's not easy. I've never seen him go get him out. But if you're looking at it, you're thinking it's not looking like it's going to get much better. If you look at the results, you're still expecting a reaction. You're thinking, right, Burnley at home. Well, before that, Norfolk and Derby, you have to turn up. They didn't turn up. Burnley at home, right? Come on, home banker, turn up. They were poor. And then you're thinking now against Southampton, but you just don't see the reaction coming. And how long do they let it go on? You have to find a balance between giving them time, but if they lose their next 3 or 4 games, how do they let it keep it going? Like, do you know what I mean?
And the way they're playing, like you say, they're conceding goals, they're not scoring goals. Like you could actually see them losing the next 3 or 4 games. Like the players looks like they've just down tools. Like they don't want to like, which is unfair on Arteta. Like, because to be fair, like the majority of them players aren't even good enough to be at Arsenal. Like, they're not Arsenal type players. They're not what Arsenal fans are used to. Like, it's nowhere like. Even if Arteta would have came in and it went perfect, like it's still maybe a 4 or 5 year job before they even could maybe challenge for anything. But it looks like it's like they're 16 years with it. They're 16 years now with a league title, like, and it looks, when you look at it now, like they look like they're maybe 7 or 8 years off even.
It's their worst start. It's their worst ever start this season for over 40 years. So that's usually how concerning it is.
It's bad, like and I feel sorry for Arteta too, because same thing. I like Arteta, and you want to see like Brendan Rodgers came in a few years ago, Eddie Howe, like these young boys that come in. Because when Ferguson left and obviously Wenger left, and you obviously have the Peps and the Klopps and Ancelotti's there now, like, but you like to see the young managers come in and
do well,
come in and do something, like. But I don't know, maybe if there's too big of a job there, but I think if any managers that was there, like, I think they would struggle. Like,
yep, definitely. The players are, I don't know what the story is. They think they're better. They think they're better than what they are, and I don't know whether it's because Arteta's young, makes sense, but there is a lot of rumours coming out now that apparently he's fell out with David Luiz, and I think he's an our boy. When I fall out with, he seems like a type of boy would snake you in. He's obviously had issues at Chelsea with Conte as well, so. He's got a reputation there, and apparently he's not speaking at all to him. Ozil, leaving Ozil out, apparently has caused trouble in his dressing room. Ozil's got a big influence. Whatever opinion you have on Ozil, that's mine's is mixed. I think he can still make a difference to that team, but he has come with this bad reputation as well. And he was one of the reasons Emery got sacked as well. So he's obviously somebody that Arteta thought by sidelining him, he wouldn't have to deal with all the trouble that he brings. But when you're not creating chances and you're struggling for goals, and he's sitting there on 300 now he's taking the piss out on Twitter, like he was tweeting after the game there on Sunday, geez, need someone to play midfield at Arsenal, LOL and all.
That doesn't help at all. Like,
he's taking the piss. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be saying, get this cunt out, pay whatever his clause is, get him out. But
I think that's what they're better. There's no point. Like, they might as well just pay off his contract and get him out of the club. Like, keeping David Luiz for another year anyway I didn't understand that at the time. Like, why? Because it's not even that he's a good. Like, I understand people like to keep maybe boys that are a bit older in because they're good pros and they help. But David Luiz has never helped anybody ever in a club. Like, he's always been the one that's caused trouble. Like, even when he was supposedly at his prime, which he still was only, for me, average. Like, you know what I mean?
I was speaking to an Arsenal fan yesterday, and he was saying that he was a big fan of Arteta. He still thinks he would give him. He said he would give him the next 3 or 4 games. He would give him to the end of December, and if it's not changed, he says, unfortunately, it's one of them things where it's probably bad timing. He'll probably go somewhere else and do a great job. He said, where I have to question him is he was the one that begged Xhaka to stay. He continually plays Xhaka. He continually plays Bellerin, even when they're playing poor. He said that's not a board issue. He said there's players there, young boys that's been doing well in the Europa League. He goes, granted it's a poor standard, but at least give them a chance because we're doing awful anyway. How worse can it be if we're losing the Burnley? So
I agree. I'd like this.
His players there that's done well in the Europa League, and he's not really getting a chance. So he was saying that, at the end of the day, if he does get sacked and he keeps picking the same players, then it's his own fault. He hasn't really tried to change the tactics at all. It's been the similar kind of style. He says a lot of time it's off the cuff. He doesn't see a style of play.
Yeah.
It's Tierney or Willian just lumping the ball into the box. There's no real sign of somebody creating chances. He said, granted, we don't really have a creative player, but he goes, Spurs don't really have a creative player. He goes, Kane all the time will maybe pick a pass for Son, but you still score goals, smaller areas of the pitch. And if you look at Liverpool as well, they don't really play with a number 10, and they still create chances. Like, so you can't really have that argument, oh, we're just missing a number 10. So there's obviously problems there. Look at the body language of the players. It just looks like they're not playing for it.
There is.
And losing to Burnley.
He's definitely in trouble. Like.
So if you look at the next 4 games over Christmas, they've got Everton, they've got Southampton at home on Wednesday, tomorrow night. They've got Everton away on Saturday. They've got a Carabao Cup quarter-final against Man City, but just leave that out because it's not the league. They've got Boxing Day, they've got Chelsea, and then they've got Brighton away. So see to them 4 games, do you see them picking up many points?
Jeez, like it's no, like you say, especially when you're not creating chances. Like, you know, you could say, like, at least we're still. If you were a team, you could say, and we're still creating chances, but we're just unlucky. You'd say, right, fair enough. But when you're not creating chances, like you're a big baller, like. You know,
you look at the way Burnley played, right? You know what Burnley's all about. If you look at Burnley, and they're a team that's even with the bad results and stuff, they're still a team that's playing for their manager. They were running free brick walls against Arsenal. You looked at Sheffield United at times this year, even though they've been on a really poor run, they're still trying. You can see the players. Arsenal just looks like that they've give up and they're not really playing for them. It's almost like they're trying to get them sacked. And I don't know whether Arsenal's trying to sort of put a point out to the players that are, hey, you can put down those again. He's under Emery. This time we're not going to sack Arteta. We're going to back him. But the question is always going to be, if they were to slip on, say, the relegation zone at the end of this Christmas period, it takes a lot of. It's hard to change 10 players, you know, and you're looking at a serious situation then, you know. So it is going to be it's almost like the board versus the players at the moment, I think, and Arteta's just caught in the middle.
Even if they had whatever money to change 10 players in January, it wouldn't happen anyway. Like, what they have now is what they're going to have. Like, that's
well, apparently there's three players over the squad limit. That's why Socrates and Ozil and Saliba were left out. So they have to get players out even before they can bring players in anyway. And who's going to pick some of them players? That's
bad. Like,
if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be seriously worried at the moment. You know,
nobody want their players either. Like, that is a key. Like, you know, you're not going to get no money for them. Like.
No, this is it. Hey, so moving on, just going to touch on this because it did come up after the Arsenal game on Saturday, and I found it hilarious, to be honest. But I thought as well at the same time, what's Evra doing? For anybody that doesn't see it, Patrice Evra said after the game against Burnley for Arsenal, he said that it was in Thierry Henry's house. Thierry Henry said they were going to watch the Arsenal match. It turned on the TV, and Arsenal were walking out to the match, and Xhaka was wearing the captain's armband, and Henry turned the TV off, and Evra said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm not watching my team play when that man's captain in my club." So obviously you can see what Evra's saying, and I get what he's saying. He's saying that, and Henry, obviously, if he said it, obviously the ill discipline at Arsenal since Arteta's come in, they've had 7 red cards, 4 more than any other team in the Premier League. And if you look at some of the red cards, it's not for, like, I think somebody said, if you're going to get a red card, you know, clatter somebody or do something, he said they're someone's headbutts or, you know, kickouts or grabbing somebody. It's stupid, like, and it shows there's softness there. But do you think Evra's comments about what Henry said were wrong?
Well, I don't think he'd be invited out anywhere with the lads anymore. Like, he's telling stories.
Telling stories. You know the way if you're on a bar or somebody's telling a story,
but
you just know not to leave. It doesn't leave the bar, and it's one of them stories. That's what it was like.
I know why obviously Henry said it and they're telling the story, but I think Evra being an ex-pro, you know, and Evra's pretty outspoken. He always has something to say, like, you know, backs players and player power and stuff, like, and I think there's a time and a place. I don't think he should be slating them like that live on TV, really. Like, I don't think it helps him, and it doesn't help Arsenal. It doesn't help Arteta.
The way he said it too was Henry said it. I think if he said it, I think he said, "Oh, I was in Henry's house and I said, go and turn that off. I ain't watching Arsenal with him playing." If I had him said it, fair enough, because he's speaking about what Henry said and third person. Do you know what I mean? He's saying, well, Henry told me, you know, Henry's probably thinking, what an absolute idiot, like, and Henry's supposed to be an Arsenal legend. So And there's probably Arsenal fans that probably go, well, I can see what Henry's saying, but then any of the ex-pros that have sort of said the Evra stories, they've probably been texting them after the match, don't be saying anything about what I said on TV.
Of course, you know,
You know what I mean? Because there's probably worse.
It doesn't. I'm sure there is.
Evra's probably, he's probably gone down in a lot of people's estimations, his teammates and stuff. And you know what? It's probably one of them things he wishes he could take back. But see, even sort of a couple of minutes after, he never looked like a man that realised what he'd said. I don't know whether he was lost in the moment and he thought the sky cameras were off, or he was in another universe. But I thought, what a thing to say on TV.
No, it doesn't help. Because a lot of fans, because they love Henry, all the Arsenal fans, they'll just back Henry and they'll just be on Xhaka's back as well.
I think Xhaka's coming. I think Xhaka's last chance at Arsenal, to be honest. You know what he's like. He's not going to change.
He's not good for him.
Last topic, we're going to move on. He's going to be obviously looking back at the Champions League and Europa League draws for the English teams. We'll also look at Rangers draw as well. Bit on the other side. But first one, Liverpool's going to be going to RB Leipzig. Now, we know a lot about Leipzig. They beat Spurs last year in the Champions League last 16. They got to the semi-final. Obviously, they've lost Werner, which is a big loss. So looking at this draw, it's probably not probably doesn't have the fear factor would have had maybe last year. But you've seen them against Manchester United. They can be very hot and cold. You've seen them against the first game. They were on the game and then capitulated in the last 15 minutes and got this 5-0. Watched them against United in the second game. They were up 3-0 in the first sort of 10 minutes, and they looked like they could have scored 5 or 6. And then the third goal, but they're under pressure then for the last sort of 20 minutes of the game. And they ended, I think, another couple of minutes, they would have drew the game 3-3, and they wouldn't even be in this competition. So they're a mixed bag. But what's your thoughts on the draw on the Liverpool side of it?
I think it's a good draw for Liverpool. I think, like you say, they're hot and cold. You know what you get for them. They want to play football. They're going to play from the back. Few decent ballers in the middle of the park and stuff but I don't see over 2 legs Liverpool having much baller, to be honest. Man United set up you seen after 30 seconds their system wasn't going to work, and Ollie just left at the half time and they were nearly out of the game. You seen after 2 minutes they needed to make the change. So I think it's a good draw, especially like you say, they've lost Werner 20 or 30 goals a season. It's I think United made them look a lot better than they actually.
They were.
Yeah.
I think as well, so with their style of suit Liverpool, they're not going to sit back. You look at Athletic Madrid last year, it really made it difficult for Liverpool. And if he's had got them again, you'd probably be thinking, there's a good chance they could do this again because of their style of play. And it's not just their style of play, they're very, very good at it. They train it. So it's not to say anyone can do it, but Leipzig will look to attack Liverpool. And you almost think it'll turn into basketball. And Liverpool's players are a lot more quality players. And if they get the chances, I can see the game being over in the first leg if Leipzig aren't at it. I think Liverpool could go out there and possibly beat them 2 or 3-0, and then the game in the second game will just be like a non-game. Liverpool will be 3-0.
I fancy over 2 legs it being pretty comfortable. So
I looked at they were one of the teams I thought Liverpool would have been looking for in the draw. Not to show them any disrespect, but I do think they really will suit Liverpool, and I don't see any problems here. Now, the team we have touched on, Athletic Madrid, they're going to be playing Chelsea. I obviously said on the show before, I think Chelsea are dark horses for the Champions League this year. I think outside of Liverpool and Bayern Munich, they would be one of the teams I would say they have a chance if things go their way. For example, if Bayern Munich were to draw Liverpool and one of them were to go out. But this is a very difficult draw for them. There's no bones about it. Nobody wants to play Athletic Madrid. But like Spurs, nobody will want to play them. They've got that similar style. A manager that trains them. They know the system well. Very difficult draw for Liverpool. What do you think? Or sorry, Chelsea.
Definitely. Chelsea, I was the same. I said it when the draw was being done last year. I didn't care who we got, barred Athletic Madrid. We got Athletic Madrid. I said, don't concede early. Conceded after 4 minutes, and that was it then. You're always chasing but no, I think Chelsea done for 2 tough legs. Just this Athletic Madrid, they're awful. They're just an awful team to play against.
You know what as well? I think with the Liverpool tie, it was a bit more even. Chelsea's team are very young and inexperienced, and Athletic Madrid have a lot of experience, and they've been in this situation before. It's almost like I remember Spurs played Juventus a few years ago, and Spurs battered them over 2 legs, but Juventus' experience, Chiellini, Buffon, they managed the game when they got in front, and this is the thing, if Chelsea don't take their chances, Athletic Madrid will be able to manipulate the game, and you know what they're like, they'll try and 5 fouls and they'll try and them the referees here. And you know, 90 minutes, see if there is a situation where they're 1-0 up from the first game, going to Stamford Bridge, they'll make that, they'll turn that 90 minutes into 60 minutes or 65 minutes by running the clock down, foils.
No, not. It's Lampard and the Chelsea players will know it. They'll look back at that Liverpool game last year and they'll be just, no, they'll not want it. Like, I don't care what they say.
Real slow over the 2 games. How do you see it going? If you had I know it's in February, but if you had to pick now, who do you think is likely to go through from it?
Chelsea are doing well now. They're conceding less goals. They seem to have a system in place. I would still fancy probably Chelsea over the 2 legs. They get. I think they have a lot of firepower now, and I think as long as Kante stays fit in the middle of Park, like, and they can get that right, like, I think Chelsea could be all right, like.
Interesting to see how it goes.
But it's a dogged game.
Man City, Russia, Mönchengladbach. Now, Man City always seem to get favourable draws in this Champions League, but they seem to always come up short. Maybe not in the last 16, but towards the latter stages, they've obviously fell short to Spurs, fell short to Lyon last year. They've had some chances to get through in these, but they just seem to mess it up after the quarterfinal stages. Now, they've actually been playing Borussia Mönchengladbach in the group stages over the last few years, so they'll know a lot about them. I actually seen them play against Real Madrid there last week, and Real Madrid completely destroyed them. It could have been on a cricket score. So from what
like Real Madrid are poor at the minute, like, so you'd fancy City again over 2 legs. They won comfortable, like.
Do you think City can do any better in Champions League this year, or do you think they'll come up short if they meet a decent team?
They'll come up short.
Moving on, Europa League. Benfica, Arsenal. Looking at the teams that Arsenal could have got, probably one of the hardest draws.
Yeah. Again, like, I don't see any light for Arsenal at the minute. Like, I just don't.
Like, granted, the game's not the February. Things could have turned around under Arteta, or they could have a new manager in place, so it's hard to predict a game like this. But that's obviously a tough draw.
Tough draw, definitely. If you were to judge it now, like, you couldn't see Arsenal getting anything out of it, like. But maybe in a month or 2, like, things might have changed around a bit, like.
United have a very tough draw. Real Sociedad are top of the league in Spain. That's and that's not an easy. I know Barcelona and Real Madrid aren't going through a great time, but still no easy feat to get to the top of that league. And we're on now the third of the season. That's going to be a difficult draw for United, and you know they're an inconsistent team. So any game's going to be hard if you are inconsistent. So that's going to be a tough draw, isn't it?
Yeah, their style of play will United won't want to play against it, like, you know. Plenty of passes, short passes, like, you know, plenty of movement. United, you know, it'll be a tough 2 legs, but I still think over 2 legs, Man United should be strong enough to.
Leicester are playing Slavia Prague again. Not an easy draw. They've been doing well in these competitions over the last few years.
Same thing again. It's just going to them stadiums. Like, they're just awful stadiums to go to. Like, you know, even with fans around.
The one thing I would say about these Europa League draws for these teams I've been talking about, they're sort of draws you expect towards the end, not quarter-final draws. So, you know, it's rare, you especially 4 teams there, they've got all tough draws. I think Benfica's obviously been around for being in the Champions League for the last few years. I think Steven Gerrard actually said he thinks they're a Champions League team. They obviously played against them. Real Sociedad's obviously top of the league in Spain, and then who was the other one? Slavia Prague, I think they got to the semi-final a few years ago, and they lost out by a goal to Chelsea, so they're a good side. The one draw that I think these teams are probably looking at as a favourable draw was the one Spurs got. I think they're going to be playing Wolfsberger, so they're an Austrian team. They're seventh in the Austrian league, and they're 10 points behind the team that's finished third in Spurs' group. And I think they're one of the lowest ranked teams left in the competition. So again, as my dad said, Mourinho brings luck, and again, all these other teams have met each other in the Europa League, and Spurs have favourable draws. So again, Spurs will be looking at this and probably thinking there's at least 4 good teams going out that we expect they meet later on in the competition. So again, Spurs will probably not pick this competition lightly as well, as we said.
No, it's a good draw for Spurs, and like I said, you can only play who you're picked against or who's in front of you. Like, so, no, it's a good draw. They've obviously got the best draw out of the English team.
And the last one we're going to talk about is Rangers are going to be playing Antwerp. Now, I can speak on this because we actually had Antwerp in our group. Really, really surprised me. Spurs lost to them in the first game away from home. You know what? They're just a very good defense. They're very good defensively. Spurs didn't play anywhere near their best, but Spurs didn't create much against them. They were very hard to break down, and they had a lot of pace up front. The Spurs were very. They could have won that game 2 or 3-0 that day. The second game, Spurs beat them 2-0. Again, Spurs went a lot stronger, and again, it was still a difficult game. So there's no doubt this will be a tough game.
I don't know. I wouldn't know much about them, to be honest, like, but
Top of their league in Belgium. Now I know Belgium's not a great standard, but they have had teams like Standard Liège and Club Brugge and teams that's been about for the last few years. So they're top of that league. So they're obviously doing well domestically as well. And sometimes that can, in terms of confidence levels, it can help. And they've got a really good home record. They've only lost once at home in the last 3 years or something like that. So I know, again, not a great standard, but it's a pick up that you don't want to be going to.
No, it still breeds confidence. Like, they'll know that they can hold their own at home. Like, so it'd be a tough draw for Rangers then, because I didn't see much of Antwerp, to be honest. Like, but as you say, if you beat them strong enough, but it was only 2-0, it's still a good game. Like, I'd fancy them. Like I say, Spurs would beat Rangers comfortably, you'd imagine. Like, if you were thinking they were going strength on strength, like.
I think Rangers will look at it. Fans will look at it and go, we've avoided teams like, we would have like Benfica and Sociedad and teams like that. But after a few days, they'll probably looking at this team and seeing, they're probably thinking, well, geez, they're on Spurs' group, and they only finished a point behind Spurs in the group. They won 4 games in the group, and lost 2. So they won 4 games in the group, so they're gonna be a decent side. Now your thoughts on seeing Rangers this year? Obviously, I'm going to ask you with Steven Gerrard connection and stuff. Have you been surprised at how well they've done, not just domestically, but they went in the same group as Benfica and got 2 draws against them?
You know what? They've just, over the last few years, Gerrard, he's just seen he always went in, they were sort of always playing good football, but they were too open. They just conceded crazy amounts of goals. Like, but their defensive record this year is unbelievable. Like, they just that's going to be like Celtic's biggest problem, trying to get back in the title race. Rangers just aren't conceding goals. They don't give away sloppy things anymore. Like,
they're looking like a team that's just formidable this year, don't they? And I know they have tended to start well before, but they look like a really different side this year.
They do. Like, they're well drilled. Everybody knows their role. Even if he brings, like, I've seen a few of the games, like, he changed 5 or 6 players, and the result was the same. The result was the same thing. It was 3-4-0s. Like, it didn't matter. Everybody knows their role.
They were unbeaten in that European group. They won 4, I think, drew 2. So and that's hard in any group, especially if you're a team coming into the Scottish League. Do you know what I mean?
And I think they were beating Benfica too, and they gave away 2 late goals, didn't they, or something like that?
Both games they were up 3-1 and up 2-1 or up 2-0 in both games. So 2-0 at home they were up, and then 3-1 away from home. And Benfica's home record is very good as well. So,
they can. No, it's going to be. Should be a good game that time. But Rangers still, the way they're playing, and depending. It'll be interesting to see what way the league table sits come Europa League. It's like, well, if Celtic have cut the gap, there'll be big pressure on Gerrard. That you'll see there'll be a whole different. It's all good when you're winning, you're 5 or 6 points clear, and everybody thinks you're the best thing. And then if they go and lose the Rangers or Celtic in a few weeks, and that gap cuts, and then there's a bit of pressure, it'll be interesting to see how he copes.
I know there's a few games before that game on the 2nd of January, but that you feel like that's the biggest Old Firm derby in years. That 2nd of January game, if Rangers won that, it's over.
I think so. I think Celtic. It's going to be massive, that game, and it's going to be unbelievable. Like, I think it's going to be. It's a shame there'll be no fans in it. Like, because it's going to be. It's going to be.
I think as well. Well, it'll be interesting to see if it happens around it, or you might just get it in time. But rumours are could be another lockdown coming. I wonder will the pubs be closed as well? So that'll be an hard thing as well. The fans looking forward to getting out to watch it, but could be in lockdown again. So be interesting. But
there'll be a few houses packed out that day, I think.
Going to wrap the show up here. Just look ahead to the rest of the Premier League games this weekend. So obviously it starts today at 6 o'clock. Decent game to watch. Wolves against Chelsea. How do you see it going, Sam?
I like Wolves. I always like what they're about, but I think they're going to struggle until they either replace Jimenez or get him back. And I'm not too sure how his situation works, but I fancy Chelsea to win.
Yeah, we're on 2-1 Chelsea. So 8 o'clock tonight, Man City against West Brom. Should be comfortable. Man City 1, do you think,
3 or 4-0 City, I
think. 4-0. I think West Brom struggling big time. They've lost a couple of players to suspension as well. City at the moment going about their business quietly, aren't they? I know they had that draw at the weekend, but they did 1-2. I know, and it's games. They beat Fulham. and they beat Burnley back to back at home. And if they won the night, it's an R1. And if the teams above them are being inconsistent, they're still going to be on their way a chance. You remember they have a game in hand as well. So, what's your thoughts on it?
I think that your man Diaz has came in, has made a big, he's made a big difference. But I still think they're short. They Burnley laid down Fulham. It's their games.
Games you expect they won.
Them games suit Man City, but you seen against Man United, they didn't really have much gears to go through to try and press on. It was Spurs. They struggled big time against Spurs.
Do you know the game from the weekend, right? The Man City United game, or you look at it, right? It was the first time I've seen Pep be a lot more reserved. City weren't as gung-ho as they've been. See, when I watched it against Spurs, they left massive gaps for Kane to exploit. They weren't as open in this game. I don't know whether it was to do with the fact they lost United 3 times last year, or it was to do with results this year. And he thinks, right, in these big games, we need to stop letting on goals.
He knows now his team's not as good as it was. And that you seen that on Saturday when he put Fernandinho in beside Rodri. He just wanted to close it out. Because Rodri's very good on the ball, but he gives you nothing else. He's very defensive.
That's it. And do you know what? See, looking at it, I don't think it was a bad point. If you go to Old Trafford and get a point, I don't think it's a worse result in your season. And if they can string a couple of results together now after this, they're going to be back on their shout, because if any of them teams above them are inconsistent.
I think you'll see in the big games now, he'll probably do that more often with Fernandinho and Hingway, just sitting there and he'll just do whatever. He'll just take the draws.
Look, I still don't think they're going to be good enough. But I think if they were to get on a run of beating the teams they're supposed to beat, and then maybe being a bit more reserved in the big games, then they might stumble on this system that suits them. And as you say, it all depends on Liverpool. I think, see if they become consistent and start winning games week after week, then it'll show. I don't think City can do that anymore. But if it is going to be a consistent season, it could be a way shout still. So moving on to Wednesday, 6 o'clock, Arsenal plays Southampton. We've obviously touched on Arsenal, and we've touched on how good Southampton can be. So how do you see this one going?
I would say I just fancy Southampton. I'd say maybe 2 or 3-1 Southampton.
I've gone 2-1 Southampton. I think, again, I just think this is a nightmare game for Arsenal, because it's one the fans will go, Southampton are playing well, we should still be beating Southampton. But if this was, say, a Spurs or a Chelsea coming in playing the way they are, they'd say, oh, geez, we'll take a draw here, And I think it's a nightmare game, because Southampton will probably sit back. Arsenal are desperate. They need wins now, not draws. They need to try and win this game. Arteta needs results, and I think it could really suit Southampton. Danny Ings is back, and he is as consistent as any striker. He does score goals.
It's a nightmare game.
If you're at any front three in the league, you're like, give me a game against Arsenal at the moment, and they'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, 100%.
So 2-1 Southampton. Leicester, Everton. It's funny when we Leicester, you always think they're on with a shout, and then they go and lose to Fulham. And then the chances this year, they lost to Fulham at home. They're sitting 1 point behind Liverpool and Spurs, but you just don't feel they're going to be able to keep it up. Consistency wise, they'll lose a game and then they'll go and win a game. But because the other teams are being inconsistent, they're still there. So Leicester, Everton, how do you see this one going?
I was thinking like a 2-each draw or something.
Spot on it. That's what I've gone 2-2 draw. But see, just on Leicester, what do you think? Is it just mentally, or just their players are too inconsistent, or what?
They're on their day, they're unbelievable. But it's the same thing that I always said about Liverpool 10 years ago as well. Beat this team 1 week and then lose. They're just, the players aren't mentally strong enough to play at the top level, to be challengers, and I think that's just the bottom line. They'll flirt around with it, and then they'll just eventually fall away.
The only thing is, if they won this game, they'll be top of the league until Liverpool play Spurs. And if Liverpool and Spurs were to draw, Leicester will go into the weekend top of the table. That's how mad this league is this year.
But I don't see much on them for the rest of the season.
So you think top 4 at best, or do you think top 6 is more likely?
Top 6, I'd say.
Top 6. Fulham, Brighton. This is going to be Brighton. They can play good football, but again, just struggle. They won games. Fulham obviously turned the corner. They're starting to get performances, maybe not so much results. They've obviously beat Leicester. Obviously, probably deserved the 3 points against Usens, but that didn't take the game out. And They obviously lost away to City, but they had a lot of spirit about them. So coming into this game, it's obviously 1-0 that they'll probably be expected they won. How do you see that going?
I was really impressed with Fulham at the weekend. Like I thought they had some really big, strong players, pacey, athletic, powerhouses, like just young.
Not so much good on the ball. Yeah, it's just they overpowered Liverpool at times in midfield. Your man Anguissa was very, very good, I thought.
And I'm just, you know what? I hope I would like them to be no point, like you say, putting in that performance against Liverpool. No, they were unlucky, like, but they still got a point out of it, like, but they not go and win this game. Like, I hope they do. I would say maybe 2-1 Fulham.
I've gone 2-1 Fulham, but Brighton are dangerous away from home against these type of teams because I think they sort of sense we can beat Brighton. I think you've seen her a few weeks ago, they beat Villa away from home. Villa probably overcommitted, and Brighton do have players that can do stuff, but they're just a bit inconsistent for me. But yeah, I have gone Fulham. I would like to see Parker keep Fulham up. Obviously, Liverpool Spurs we've done. West Ham play Palace as well Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. How do you see that one go?
Geez, that's a tough game for like West Ham have started really well, and so's Palace.
West Ham, you know what? They're not playing overly well, but they're getting results. Like I watched them against Leeds on Friday. Leeds played them off the park in the first half, but only went done the half time 1-1 up, and then West Ham in the second half were brilliant. Same way against United, where West Ham were very good in the first half, didn't close the game out, and then got punished by United. So again, they're a very funny team. They're inconsistent, but Moyes is doing well. They're sitting up there in the top 5 or 6, I think, at the moment. They're sitting around top 6.
I know they've had a good season, like, and I think what will be good for them now, they probably know that they're not going to be in a relegation battle, which is probably big pressure off. They've a lot of points on the board already, which will help the players maybe relax a bit, like.
Big time. And with Palace as well, they seem to be a different team. He's Zaha back, and that fella they signed Eze too. Really impressed with him. So they've got a real directness about them. I think this could be a really good game to watch. Obviously we won't be watching it because Liverpool's playing Spurs at the same time. But I don't know how you see it going. I can't really separate them. I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Nah, I was thinking a draw as well. Like I think just they're two decent forms. Like so, I would 1 each, 2 each draw. Like I
think it's a game where it'll come down to key players who turns up. Villa. So moving on to Thursday. Villa play Burnley at 6 o'clock. How do you see that going?
I think it's going to be an awful game, like, to be honest.
Burnley will sit back and Villa will have to try. And this is the test for Villa. Villa are very good when teams give them space, but when they have to try and break down teams, I guess they can tend to struggle because teams will try and just double up on Grealish. And then they kind of rely on him a lot. They try and do stuff. What is your thoughts on Jack Grealish anyway? What do you think about him this year and how far he could get there?
I like him. I thought he was always a good player. It was just be consistently doing the Premier League, but he's showed over the last season and a half that he's well capable. Like, but whether he gets a big move or not, I don't know, because they're going to price him out of it, and he signed a new contract in the summer. Like, so I don't see any of the top teams paying that for him, to be honest. Like,
I think he's a Villa fan too, but he seems to be almost like that Harry Kane type of player, where he's happy at Villa, playing at Villa. Seems to be like his favourite. He's a Villa fan. He puts on the shirt. He loves it. I can't see him putting up too much fuss to get out.
I think as long as Gareth Southgate is happy with him being at Villa, and it's going to be not, stop him from progressing on the England team, I think he'll be happy enough to sit. You know what I mean? But I think if it came to the stage where maybe if Villa got relegated next season or this season, then he might just say, like, Southgate will say, I'm not playing championship players, which is understandable. Like, he'll not do it. Like, so he might have to.
I get that. Get that completely. So for this game, how do you see Villa doing?
Fancy Burnley 1-0.
Yeah, I think Villa might have enough in this game. I think Grealish might turn it on. I think Burnley put a lot in that game at the weekend. Wouldn't be surprised if they did grind out a 1. But I've gone for a Villa 2-0 1. Last game of the midweek games is going to be Sheffield United against Man United. Sort of touched on Sheffield United over the last few weeks. They've been so unlucky in some of their games. The way you've seen Derby with 11 points after 38 games. You've seen Sunderland with like 14 points, Villa with 17 points. And you think it's obviously going the same way with Sheffield United because they just can't seem to get points. But they aren't that bad as they other teams. When you play Sheffield United, you still expect a tough game. Now, I watched the game, sort of second half against Southampton there at the weekend because I come out of work. And like Southampton's first 2 goals were deflections. Everything's going against them. They just cannot seem to catch a break.
I still fancy Man United. Probably they won maybe 3-1 or something. Like, I still fancy them to be comfortable enough. I've
gone 2-0 to United. But can you see Sheffield United turning this around? or do you think it's just inevitable now that I think they're sitting 9 points from safety now because of Fulham's results and Burnley's results?
I don't see that. No, I think even if they could get a run of games together, I don't think they'll have enough. Like I think it's just going to be one of them seasons for them. I think they're going to go down.
Do you think this will be the ultimate test between sort of loyalty and obviously they have a lot of loyalty to Chris Wilder, but do you think over the next couple of games they might be thinking about their safety in the Premier League? Do you think it's the ones where the loyalty will probably say, well, thanks for getting us here, but we need to try and stay up now?
Oh, definitely. Like I think if they a good chance to lose now on Thursday night, and then I'm not too sure who their next game is after that. But there's never an easy game in the Premier League, and especially when you don't score goals, and they don't score any goals. Like
you know what? See the Leicester game last week.
I think they could be involved.
The Leicester game last week, you're thinking they should have won the game, but one on each, they're overcommitting, and then they leave Vardy all that space behind them, and Vardy scores last minute, bid 2-1, and I think that did take a lot out of them. Because it was like an hour game, they put so much on. They probably deserved. They won the game based on their chances. The week before against West Brom, they absolutely battered West Brom and get it 1-0, much chance after chance. And then the Southampton game at the weekend just compounded it. So it is looking like it's not going to get any better for them, and it will be interesting to see stick with Chris Wilder.
He's in trouble. I think.
So that's the show, Sam. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow night. I'm hoping for a draw at least, so it'll be interesting to see. But hey, you were a great guest, and hope to get you on our team as well. So I want to thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thanks, Gav.
Here, Sam. Thank you.
Right.